All right, this has to be the most enraging article I've seen come out of the second Trump admin. And to all the Trump supporters who leave snarky comments under my videos, all that I ask is you stay and watch, because I want to demonstrate how Trump basically just got bitch slapped by Vladimir Putin. He got played and tricked by Putin, and it cost Ukrainian lives. Trump, for some reason, is so naive and gullible that he thinks Putin will keep his word after their phone calls, when Putin has never once in his existence as a human being kept his word. Now it's leading to articles like this from the Kyiv Post, which reads, Russian strikes hit Ukraine mere hours after Trump-Putin ceasefire talks. This has happened so many times. Trump claims this performative victory on the world stage and says, hey, I have a ceasefire deal between Israel and Palestine or Russia and Ukraine, yet 24 hours later, one side is striking the other and Trump sweeps it under the rug because it doesn't benefit his narrative. But I can demonstrate right now to the Trump supporters and to my friends watching this video that Trump's presidency is crashing and burning. Watch this clip of Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, saying our economy was on the perfect track until the whole tariff debacle. Take a listen to this and just listen to what he's saying. Read in between the lines here.
I think a world where people can make their daily economic decisions in businesses and they're not having to think about the possibility of significantly high inflation. We know inflation will bounce around. That is price stability. You know, I think we were getting closer and closer to that. I wouldn't say we were at that. Inflation was running around 2.5% for some time. I do think with the arrival of the tariff inflation, further progress may be delayed. The SEP doesn't really show further downward progress on inflation this year, and that's really due to the tariffs coming in.
Okay, so Fox News, Fox Business is directly showing Jerome Powell blaming Trump's tariffs on halting the progress, or at least delaying the progress of our economy bouncing back after COVID, after the supply chain disruptions. By the way, everybody in 2021 was expecting a recession. Biden had a soft landing, avoided a recession, and now we're back to recession talks because the GDP is supposed to contract in Q1. The stock market is kind of crashing, and there are many other indicators to consider as well, but I mean, it's not good. It's not good when your sole promise was fixing all of this on day one, yet you can't do that at all. At the same time, Trump's press sec just took the stage about an hour ago and began attacking a judge's wife. Now, I'm going to get to the Russia story. I'm just trying to paint a broader picture of a collapsing Trump administration. It's a clown show. They have no coordination. Trump will tell a lie. His press secretary will contradict that with another lie. And then everybody in the admin is a screwball.
And this Judge Boasberg, is a Democrat activist. He was appointed by Barack Obama. His wife has donated more than $10,000 to Democrats. And he has consistently shown his disdain for this president and his policies, and it's unacceptable.
Right where I wanted to go about the idea that these people are all foreign terrorists, but Judge Boasberg was originally appointed by George W. Bush and then elevated by Barack Obama. I just feel like I should clear that up.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy Vitor said attacking a judge's wife from the White House podium is insane, and the press sec looks like a complete idiot here. The White House has no decorum. They're awful, and this is a cherry on top. Now, Trump has been bullying Zelensky and basically eroding any leverage he has. I explain this a lot in my videos, but the unfortunate reality is Vladimir Putin right now holds a lot of the leverage. He holds a lot of the land, and that's what Ukraine wants back. He also has a much larger army, and even though they're not as clever, he still has the leverage. So the goal is to get Ukraine on the left to have the same amount of leverage as Russia, and you do that through security guarantees, through alliances, through strategically giving them equipment that can cripple Russia and further push Russia into this hole that they're slowly digging for themselves. Yet all Trump has done is cede Ukrainian leverage. Ukraine is losing leverage because, again, Trump is stopping intel sharing, stopping all of this, and every time he does it, it costs lives. This article is disgusting. It reads, hours after Trump and Putin negotiated a ceasefire on energy strikes, Russia bombed Slavyansk's power grid, hit homes in another area, and targeted hospitals in the Sumy region. hours after Vladimir Putin made the promise to Trump. And here's an update. In the early hours of March 19th, which is the day that I'm recording this video, Russian forces used drones to strike the railway power in the Dnipropetrovsk region. And as a result of the attack, some areas lost power, but train traffic continues according to schedule. It's absolutely insane. Quote, "This is what immediate ceasefire on all energy and infrastructure looks like. At 1:20 a.m., Russia struck Ukrainian Railways energy facilities in the Dnipro region twice." I don't know if that's how you say it, but it might be. Even as firefighters and a rescue train worked. Here we have a video. I mean, again, I've got a debate coming out with the conservative, and I repeatedly make the points that if you give any sort of peace deal without security guarantees, it's nothing. It's just a piece of paper that Vladimir Putin will rip apart because peace deals mean nothing to Putin. Putin is so against the Western way of ruling with laws, with checks and balances, with equity, with equality. He hates any of that. He hates the fact that there is a global order that currently doesn't favor him. He hates the fact that there are rules set in place by the West that you can't invade your next door neighbor. Once you understand that, you understand that Putin does not care about any sort of security guarantee. Putin does not care if some orange fuck on a phone call guaranteed that he'll be closer with the West and will be able to play hockey games. No, Putin will reinvade. And naive me, I said that it'll probably take Putin a few years to rearm, to gather his troops and launch a full invasion. Yet, hours after hopping off the phone with our president, he goes back on his word. It's upsetting, and honestly, I was still right in the sense that about 5 years from now, Putin will probably launch a full-scale invasion, but I mean, Trump is allowing him to just gain more ground. Russia launched an airstrike on the energy infrastructure in one Ukrainian city, which has 100,000 people living in the region. Kyiv Post sources within the military confirmed that a part of the city is now without electricity. They are punishing Ukrainian civilians as they have been this entire war. Russia is committing a literal genocide. Meanwhile, explosions were reported in another region where guided aerial bombs reportedly struck residential areas. Oh, honey. Trump, you thought Vladimir Putin was actually telling the truth? He has never done that in the history of being a leader, in the history of his existence. Ukrainian military correspondent Bogdan wrote that the strike on the energy infrastructure was carried out using an aerial bomb. The attacks took place less than an hour after Trump and Putin had negotiated a 30-day ceasefire on strikes against energy facilities. And I just want to point out, the wording in this article is actually a little bit misleading because Putin never agreed to the ceasefire that Trump proposed. Putin agreed to a much more watered down version that really favored. Putin won the negotiation, essentially. Putin agreed to an incredibly watered down version that only favored him. And now, Kyiv Post reporters in the capital also heard anti-aircraft guns shooting at drones. Late on March 18th, explosions were heard in Kyiv, with the first blast reported around 11:01 p.m. The Kyiv mayor confirmed on Telegram that air defense systems were active on the right bank of the city, urging residents to remain in shelters, and somehow the Trump admin will still justify bullying Zelensky, bullying the citizens of Ukraine. MAGA supporters will still blame the war on Ukraine, or even place, I hate when people play the both sides. Like, I just think both sides need to fight for peace, or both sides need to work towards peace. Duh. Russia is the one that's holding up the peace process with their active invasion. They are the ones that keep escalating, whether it's escalatory rhetoric about using nukes or escalatory actions by nuking energy infrastructure, or not nuking it, but bombing energy infrastructure, bombing hospitals, all of this terrible, horrific stuff. On the evening of March 18th, right after Trump and Putin hopped off the phone, a Russian drone struck the roof of a medical facility in Sumy, shattering windows and damaging the building, according to the regional military administration. But no casualties existed, which is really good and lucky. However, on early March 19th, Russian forces launched another drone attack on the region. A drone hit the roof of another hospital, the Krasnopil Hospital, marking the second healthcare facility targeted in that region within hours. Preliminary information suggested no casualties, which is great, but emergency evacuation systems deployed to the site. There was also a 60-year-old man injured. Somebody else was injured. I mean, the war is still going because of Vladimir Putin and only Vladimir Putin, and I'll leave it at that. Drop a like, subscribe if you want to help boost this video. Drop some blue hearts if you made it this far. I love all of you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.